Have you ever noticed how some men move through life as if the world bends around them, while others stumble, trapped by opinions, fears, and the incessant demands of others? The difference is not money, not strength, and not luck. It is the architecture of the mind. Machiavelli, the master of understanding power, would tell you, there is a type of person who cannot be challenged, cannot be manipulated, and cannot be disrespected. He would call this state untouchable. But here's the curious truth. Becoming untouchable is not about becoming a brute. It is not about anger, intimidation, or showing dominance through physicality. Those who mistake loudness for power are often the easiest to break. True untouchability is invisible. It is strategic. It is psychological. It resides in the mind of a man who fears nothing, desires nothing that others can take, and owes nothing to anyone. Imagine a chessboard. The pieces are not equal. Some move freely, some are constrained, some are sacrificed for a greater play. The untouchable man does not merely exist on the board. He manipulates the board without others ever realizing it. People speak of him in whispers. They hesitate before challenging him because he operates in a space beyond their reach. He has learned the one truth every man must grasp. People can only control what they can influence. And when influence is denied, control is impossible. To reach this state, you must first understand your vulnerabilities. Machiavelli would say that self-awareness is the first weapon in the arsenal of power. Every need you show, every insecurity you reveal, every act of dependence is a doorway for someone else to walk through and claim authority over you. Your mind must become a fortress. Every word you speak, every silence you keep, every action you take must reinforce that fortress. You are no longer just a man among men. You are a presence. You are an unmovable object in a world of forces, currents, and chaos. Becoming untouchable is not learned in moments of peace. It is forged in trials. The betrayals, the insults, the attempts to manipulate you, they are not punishments. They are tests. Each one is a step in your transformation. Each one teaches you the subtle mechanics of human weakness. Who is ambitious? Who is jealous? Who desires to control? Machiavelli would insist that only those who observe, calculate, and adapt survive these tests. Those who react, those who over-explain, those who seek approval, they remain ordinary. By the end of this journey, the world will perceive you differently. Not because you shouted louder, not because you struck harder, but because your presence cannot be challenged, your motives cannot be read, and your mind cannot be infiltrated. You will have mastered the quiet, deadly art of untouchability, the art of a mind so sovereign that all outside forces are rendered powerless. The first trap that keeps men vulnerable is desire. Not all desire is dangerous. Hunger, ambition, and discipline are productive, but the kind that ties you to the whims of others is lethal. Machiavelli would say, "The man who is controlled by what he wants is already a servant, even if the world sees him as free." To become untouchable, you must sever that invisible leash. Observe the people around you. Who do they obey? Who do they fear? Most are enslaved not by armies, wealth, or chains, but by need. Need for approval, need for validation, need for love, need for attention. The moment you display dependence, you hand power over to anyone perceptive enough to exploit it. A word, a look, or a subtle manipulation can bend your behavior, and once the leash is visible, it will be pulled relentlessly. To break free, you must cultivate inner sufficiency. Learn to exist without constant affirmation. Learn to find satisfaction in your own actions, not in the applause of others. When someone tries to provoke a reaction, notice the urge within you to respond. That urge is your weakness speaking. Ignore it. Control it. Let your silence become a weapon. Machiavelli teaches that untouchability begins with emotional autonomy. This is not stoicism as the world sees it, a blank, lifeless facade. It is the active mastery of your impulses, the deliberate choice to act from reason, not reaction. Desire will arise. It is natural, but it must serve strategy, not dictate it. The untouchable man does not react to temptation. He evaluates it, controls it, and uses it only when it strengthens his position. This principle extends beyond emotion. Every visible need, every expectation you project, is a map for others to navigate your mind. If they sense you crave recognition, they will withhold it to manipulate you. If they sense you crave loyalty, they will betray it to test you. The untouchable man removes all predictable signals. He is a closed book whose pages others cannot turn. Practical application begins with small steps. Control your impulses today. Do not respond immediately to messages that provoke emotion. Resist the urge to explain yourself in conflicts. Refuse to seek validation for your achievements. With each act of self-sufficiency, you reclaim a fragment of untouchability. Machiavelli would insist that this is not a passive journey. It is deliberate, strategic, and at times, ruthless. Every time you deny someone the leverage of your needs, your power grows. The mastery of desire also shapes perception. People do not fear those they understand. They fear those whose motives they cannot decipher. When you are free of need, you become unpredictable. You are not swayed by flattery, provocation, or pressure. You are a force the world hesitates to challenge because there is no visible weak point. The next stage in becoming untouchable takes this principle even further. Once your mind is free from external control, you must learn the art of strategic silence and absence, a power Machiavelli calls invisibility in plain sight. The fewer the clues you leave, the less the world can touch you. Once you have mastered your desires and severed the invisible leash of need, the next weapon in your arsenal is silence. Not the kind born from ignorance or fear, but the deliberate, strategic silence that communicates control without words. Machiavelli understood this intuitively. The less people know about you, the less power they have over you. Information is influence, and withholding it is dominance. Observe the world around you. Most men talk too much. They explain themselves, justify their actions, and reveal their thoughts openly. Each word is a thread others can pull to manipulate, judge, or control them. The untouchable man speaks sparingly. Every word is measured, every gesture deliberate. He creates an aura of depth that others cannot penetrate. Silence becomes not absence but presence, the presence of a mind so self-contained that it does not need validation from the outside. Absence is the companion of silence. Machiavelli would call it strategic withdrawal, making yourself scarce not out of fear, but to create value. When you are everywhere, your presence is ordinary. When you are selective, your absence breeds curiosity, respect, and subtle fear. People begin to anticipate your return, to wonder at your motives, to respect your choices without understanding them. Absence sharpens perception. It makes the world chase your influence rather than you chasing theirs. The combination of silence and absence transforms perception. The world begins to see you as untouchable because there are no openings to exploit. People hesitate because uncertainty is frightening. Your reputation becomes self-reinforcing. Respect grows in the shadow of mystery, authority rises in the absence of neediness, and power consolidates in spaces where others can only guess. Practical application requires discipline. Speak only when your words carry weight. Every sentence should have purpose. Avoid over-explaining or justifying decisions. Every explanation is a thread to pull. Make your presence rare and your return meaningful. Let your absence generate anticipation, not anxiety. Observe more than you act. Information is power. Others reveal themselves through their words, actions, and reactions. Silence and absence also shield you emotionally. By removing yourself from predictable reactions, you deny others the ability to manipulate you through guilt, flattery, or pressure. You become a constant question mark in a world desperate for answers, a figure whose mind cannot be touched because it is self-contained and autonomous. Machiavelli would emphasize, the untouchable man does not move with the crowd. He moves on his own axis. He allows the world to unfold while he operates 10 steps ahead. By mastering silence and absence, you not only protect your mind, you expand it. You create space to observe, calculate, and maneuver without interference. The next stage takes untouchability to a new dimension. Once your mind is sovereign and your presence strategic, you must learn to read the weaknesses of others and never give them the leverage of your reactions, the subtle art of psychological untouchability. Becoming untouchable is not just about mastering your own mind. It is about understanding the minds of others and denying them the power to influence you. Machiavelli would insist, the world is a battlefield of perceptions, fears, and desires. The untouchable man moves unseen, yet he sees all. He recognizes weakness in a glance, ambition in a gesture, and deceit in a tone. The first principle of psychological untouchability is observation without judgment. Most men react to what they see. They respond to insults, flattery, and manipulation immediately, often blindly. The untouchable man watches. He studies patterns, motives, and vulnerabilities. Every conversation, every glance, every subtle interaction becomes data, fuel for strategy. Knowledge of others' weaknesses is not for cruelty, it is for defense. By understanding the hidden currents, you ensure that no one can catch you off guard. The second principle is never give leverage. Every visible reaction, every emotional display is a tool others can use against you. Anger, fear, desperation, and even excitement become cords others can pull. The untouchable man learns to move through the world with a calm, controlled exterior, revealing nothing that can be exploited. He is unpredictable yet measured, mysterious yet deliberate. This creates a subtle fear. People hesitate, not because they are consciously intimidated, but because they cannot anticipate your next move. Third, control the narrative of your presence. People form opinions based on what you reveal. The more information you provide about your intentions, desires, or weaknesses, the more they believe they hold power over you. Strategic untouchability requires selective revelation. Share only what strengthens your influence. Guard the rest. The untouchable man is not deceptive for deception's sake. He is discreet to protect sovereignty. Fourth, use observation to anticipate threats. Most conflict arises because men fail to see the moves being plotted against them until it is too late. The untouchable man identifies potential challenges before they materialize. He positions himself not merely to react, but to preempt. Machiavelli's ultimate lesson is simple. Foresight is the greatest shield. If you can see the arrow before it is shot, no wound can land. Finally, understand that untouchability is perceived as much as it is lived. Others cannot respect what they do not understand. When you operate beyond predictable patterns, the world interprets your control as power. You become a figure both admired and feared, not because of force, but because you are unreachable, unknowable, untouchable. Every interaction becomes a chess move, every reaction a calculated signal that others cannot exploit. Psychological untouchability completes the transformation. Your mind is sovereign, your desires are contained, your presence is strategic, and your perception is controlled. At this stage, you are no longer a man among men. You are a force. People speak of you in whispers, measure their words around you, and hesitate before testing you. You have become untouchable. The final stage of this transformation is not a skill but a lifestyle, embedding untouchability into every aspect of existence so it becomes instinct, reputation, and reality all at once. At this point, the untouchable man is no longer an aspiration. He is a living strategy. Machiavelli would remind you, power is not a title, a weapon, or a position. It is the mastery of presence, perception, and principle. To truly live untouchable, you must embed the lessons of desire, silence, absence, and psychological control into every fiber of your being until they become instinct. First, make untouchability habitual. It is not enough to act strategically in isolated moments. Every interaction, every decision, every exposure of your mind must reinforce the fortress you have built. Do not allow predictability. Rotate your responses, your routines, even your social energy. Let people feel your influence without ever fully understanding it. Presence must be felt, but never fully explained. Second, embrace deliberate detachment. Untouchable men engage with the world, but they are not consumed by it. They witness without being swept away, act without being enslaved, and care without being vulnerable. Detachment is not coldness, it is sovereignty. It is the ability to live fully while remaining unassailable, to participate in life without surrendering the keys to your mind. Third, continuously sharpen perception. Observe patterns, understand motives, and anticipate moves. Untouchability is a living awareness. The more attuned you are to the invisible threads that govern human behavior, the less chance anyone has to manipulate or control you. Information is armor, knowledge is the blade. Fourth, project respect without seeking it. Untouchable men do not demand recognition. They command it through their conduct. Authority is felt through confidence, self-sufficiency, and the refusal to be touched by trivial forces. Those who attempt to test you will find no weakness. Those who approach you will find no neediness. Your influence becomes self-perpetuating. Finally, accept that untouchability is a mindset, not a status. It is forged in discipline, patience, and insight. It is reinforced by every moment you refuse to be provoked, every desire you master, every silence you preserve, and every move you calculate. The untouchable man is not perfect. He is untouchable because he has trained his mind to operate beyond ordinary constraints. Machiavelli would leave this final truth. The untouchable man does not exist in opposition to the world. He exists above it. The storms, the manipulations, the challenges, they pass around him, unable to penetrate the fortress of his mind. And in this state, he achieves the ultimate freedom, the freedom to act with strategy, to observe with clarity, and to move through life without fear, without need, and without compromise. This is not an end, but a way of life. The untouchable man walks among men, yet remains untouched. He is not defined by what he holds, who he knows, or what he fears. He is defined by the sovereignty of his mind, a mind that Machiavelli himself would recognize as invincible, unassailable, and eternal.